analysis. Let me turn to Sourabh Gupta. He's a senior Asia-Pacific international policy specialist at the Institute for China-America Studies. Sourabh, China has shown it can certainly play a constructive role when it comes to mediating conflicts. We saw what they did between Saudi Arabia and Iran back in March. So can China do it again in places like Ukraine, Gaza, and Israel?
Well, I mean, the short answer I would say is no. Those conflicts are very complex, complicated conflicts, and U.S. and China's interests are not necessarily aligned with the U.S.'s interests, and U.S. is a dominant partner of many of these countries in those conflicts. And so what China can do is lend its good offices and help provide a constructive way forward, but particularly after the combatants have realized or decided that they want to have a truce or a ceasefire. It's at that point onwards that China can get and enter into these conflict areas and provide pathways, assist in provide pathways forward. So China can be a facilitator, but I think this is a road too far if one is asking China to help resolve these conflicts.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you about BRI. I mean, from BRI to BRICS and then SCO. Are we seeing the makings of a new world order, Sourabh, a shift from Western rules-based world order?
I would submit no. And here's the reason why. We have the Western rules order, but all these, the BRI, the SCO that we're talking about out here, are all open arrangements. SCO, I understand, is a regional body, but think of the BRI. Anybody and everybody is welcome to participate in the BRI and shape the BRI. And as we've seen that's happening in the AIIB, where you have the Australians in and many other countries, and they're shaping the outlook of these countries. So these are not institutions created to disrupt and overthrow those old institutions. This is also additional new ways forward. And we've seen, again, with regard to the BRI, in recent times, China has participated actively in coordination with Paris Club creditors to help resolve debts in Zambia, in Sri Lanka. And this is done very much as per the rules of the existing order. So China is not out here to disrupt and destroy the old order. It embraces the existing order because it has risen in that order, but it is also bringing new ideas to the existing order. And that's why I think China's contribution is important in this regard.
Certainly important, but is U.S. appeal and U.S. leverage on world stage, has that diminished because of its military interventions and who they choose to support?
Yes, it has diminished because, I mean, to be frank, the U.S., since the George W. Bush administration, effectively broke the Middle East, and you're seeing some of the consequences today. And in addition to that, the U.S. feels that it is in the strategic competition with China. And part of what that means for the U.S. is to reconstruct a world order where it contains the U.S. and like-minded countries and is not necessarily United Nations centered. And that's a real problem because that can create block-like mentalities and congeal into us versus them frameworks. And that is not where China wants to go. And therefore, I would say the U.S. has gone about, in a way, marginalizing itself. And I'm happy to see in this regard, frankly, that just yesterday, the U.S. and China found common cause on climate change, and they said they would work jointly at COP28 in trying to tackle these challenges under the multilateral umbrella where these challenges should be managed and tackled.
All right, Sourabh Gupta, we'll leave it there.